Hi guys, and thanks a lot for listening to this tutorial video on SPSS chi-square test. So if you're listening to this video, it means that you are interested in how to run chi-square test in SPSS. Let us notice that chi-square test is a test which is used when you are going to analyze the relationship between two qualitative variables. Instead, when we have a quantitative variable, we usually use correlation in order to analyze whether or not there is a link between two variables. But in the case of a qualitative variable, we may need to use a chi-square test in order to analyze the relationship between between two variables. So run chi-square independence test, just go on analyze. Let us just notice that it's a database on a survey on a company client. You have the gender, you have age category, you have reason of purchasing a specific good, you have payment method, you have the distance between the house of the client and the company where the good is being purchased, so or not. So we're going to analyze the relationship, the dependence of of some of variable in our database. So to run chi-square test, just go on analyze descriptive statistic, cross descriptive statistic. Click on cross table. So when you have click on cross table, you have this interface that appear. So you can select a row and column variable in order to analyze correlation, the link or the dependence or independence between variables. So don't mind if you invert. So if you put in a variable in row or column, so it doesn't matter what when you put variable in row or column. So for example, to analyze the whether or not gender and age category are dependent or independent variables, select for example gender and put it on rows, and after that you select age category and put it on column section. So to perform chi-square test, you go on statistic and select chi-square. Chi-square. So then you click on continue and then you click on OK. So when you click on OK, you have this table results. So you have case processing summary that give percentage of valid variable. So all variables were put in the analysis, which means that they were not missing variable among gender and age categories. So we have a cross tabulation between gender category and age category. In each cell's concern, we have the count of the cell. So, for example, men which were aged between 18 to 24 were 16, and men aged more than 64 were just 6 in our sample. So we have in the last table chi-square test. So the first line is chi-square. In the second column, we have 6.187 chi-square statistic test, with 4 degrees of freedom, and the asymptotic significance here is a p-value which is 18.6%, which means that we can just accept the null hypothesis, which is gender and age category are independent variables. So we accept the null hypothesis, which means that two variables are completely independent. So we cannot use for the age category, for example, in order to predetermine the gender of a client. So let us look at other variable. We go on descriptive statistic. We choose analyze descriptive statistic across the world. So we remove, for example, age category and choose the reason of payment. So we choose reason of payment. We have already selected chi-square. Continue, and then click on OK. So we see that in this case we have a asymptotic significance which is 9.5%, which means that if we consider a 10% level, we can just reject the null hypothesis, which is the independence between the gender and the reason. So we cannot accept, we cannot reject, we cannot accept the independence between gender and reason. So the reason of payment can predetermine the gender of a client. It can mean that there are some reasons which are more used by some gender categories. So that can be the explanation of the result of this, that if you consider a 10% level. Let's look at second reason variable, reason 1, reason 2. So we can see that reason 2 are highly significant, which mean that so the reason are price, commodity, service, and others. So can we have a asymptotic significance which is significant even at 1% level, which means that we cannot accept the null hypothesis. We reject the null hypothesis of independence. It means that there are a dependent relation between the reason of and the gender. So there are probably some reasons that are more present in some group categories. So to make it a little bit deeper in the interpretation, we can, for example, use odds ratio in order to analyze whether or not price influence positively or negatively in the gender. So that's it for this chi-square test, and hope we help you understand the chi-square test and the notion of independence between qualitative variables.